Good morning, 49er faithful. Very excited to be here today with a special episode of the program going on. Very excited for today's guest, Jordan Burney, joining me today, NFL draft prospect. Jordan is a safety coming out of Westchester University, played in 11 games last year with a career high 50 tackles. Jordan, you ran the 40 at the combine in a 4.62. Jordan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I did run a 4.62, but I had something recently to put out there where I ran a 4.40.
4.40. Goodness gracious, Jordan. That is blazing, man. What do you attribute the improvement to? Were you working on some specifics in getting off of the line, or was it just a better showing that day?
It was definitely a technique.
Nice.
I know myself, I really wasn't focusing on technique. I was just saying I'm gonna just go out there and run. But I had a trainer named Kalinowski, worked out with him for about a month and brought it down to a 4.40.
Nice. Man, the more I have studied the draft, I had the opportunity to be out at the NFL Combine for the first time this year. I got myself posed along the starting line of the 40-yard dash on my profile. I was thrilled to be there, but the more I have studied it and the more I have spoken with trainers and those that prepare prospects for the Combine, the clearer it is to me that your form in running the 40 and your technique is everything, right?
It's everything. Well, first, I want to say that's a great picture. Like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
And yes, it's everything. It's down. It's basically like science class. You gotta. It's all the way down to your big toes, like your big and pinky toe. Like you gotta break it down to the littlest thing.
Yeah, I was seeing Les Spellman recently talking about the violence coming off of the line, that the more violent that initial step is, the greater it's able to propel, which makes sense. I mean, it's all about physics. It's all about inertia, right? It's a body at rest tends to stay at rest without that equal and opposite force. So you need that violent force to get you going in the right direction. All right, so people are excited to hear about you, Jordan. Welcome to the program today. I'm very thrilled that you were able to join us. Just a little bit of background as we get into these questions. This last year, Westchester, the team did struggle a little bit at 6-5, if I'm correct. But in 2018, you were a part of the team that went 10-1 and won the PSAC championship. You had 28 tackles that season with 2 picks as well. And I just wanted to say congratulations on that accomplishment, sir. I have to imagine that was a very special season.
Man, it definitely meant a lot to me throughout my courses up at Westchester. Spent a lot of time that summer getting ready for that season, and it was a blessing to see it pay off, and definitely a highlight of my life, actually. So definitely was greatly appreciated to hold that trophy up.
Yeah, man. To have worked at something for your entire life and to reach that type of a moment, I have to imagine that does feel pretty special.
Yeah, I don't cry a lot, but I definitely shed some tears on that field after that.
Nice. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with showing a little bit of emotion. To me, it shows a passion for the game. It shows just how much you care. Well, so I want to get into it. Jordan, what's the first thing you want people to know about you?
Well, the first thing I would say, I would want people to know that I'm a driven person. I'm a hard worker. And basically, I sacrifice for my goals,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not scared to make that sacrifice or, take that leap of faith to reach my goal. So
you're willing to pour yourself into the process, what it takes in the preparation to end up getting those results?
Yes, sir.
That's so important. I mean, in particular, as you're attempting to make leaps in your career, like the one you're attempting to make now into the NFL. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into football.
Well, it's funny because I actually started out as a basketball player. growing up where I'm at, you don't really see that many like football players. It's the first thing you pick up is a basketball, you know,
Right.
on every corner of the street. So I was a basketball player. My uncle put a ball in my hand, and I ran with that until actually high school. And I met up with my high school football coach, and he was just like a blessing to me now, you know, looking back at it. And we still talk. Named John Techman. I stayed with him, you know, throughout like my high school years. I would stay with him during the week. Then I would go back home during the weekends, and he was just a blessing to me, and he changed my life. And I definitely fell in love with football during that time.
Yeah, the passion was awoken. Do you feel like that basketball background helps you in any way in body positioning, in high pointing the ball as a safety? Is that something that you feel helps you on the field?
Yes, definitely. I think it make me a little more agile than other players, you know, not being scared to, like you said, high point that ball and go get it with two hands. And I think it definitely helped me.
Nice. I have you listed here at 6'2", 205 pounds. What are your measurements right now coming into the draft?
I'm still 6'2" and still 205. And I weighed, my hands was 10 inches, 7. I got to look back at it, my wingspan, but I know it's pretty long. But yeah, still the same measurements.
Do you envision yourself as a bit of a ball hawk? Do you have the ability to make those splash plays? I know that's something that 49ers fans are very anxious in looking for in safety prospects. Do you view yourself as that type?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
I love to make big plays. You know, I love to make game-changing plays.
Yes, as you should. What would you say was the biggest area of development that you had over your college career? Where did you improve the most in your game?
It's funny because I call it like the double A. I say angles and analytics. You know,
Nice.
It's definitely like that's something that people really overlook. Like I especially overlooked it coming into my college career, starting out. But as it went forward, I dove more into the angles. You gotta have perfect, you know, angles. If you don't, you're not gonna make that play, no matter how fast you are or how smart you are. And watching film definitely just helped me critique all of that. So I would say angles and my smarts for the game.
That's a pretty critical combination. If you have both the understanding of angles and the speed as you're transitioning from college to the NFL, I would imagine you would think that your skill set translates pretty well from college to the NFL, given that speed kills, right? I mean, speed is absolutely a skill set that transfers from college to the NFL.
Definitely.
Cool. So what would you say, what drives you to be the best version of yourself? You talk about being a motivated individual. You talk about the grind. What is it that drives you in order to succeed?
Man, it's a lot of different things, but I would break it down to first my family, my siblings. You know, I got a big family, so we just competitive, you know. A couple of my brothers graduated college by the grace of God. So it's like, all right, you graduated with that type of GPA or that type of thing. I'm gonna do better than that. Or so we all competitive, and we all learn from each other. You know,
Yeah.
something we learn.
That's cool. I had a hard time. I'm competitive as well, but my older brother went off to Princeton. He was a 4.0 student. I had a hard time keeping up with his grades. That was tough to do, but I can relate to that type of competition between siblings for sure. What do you see, Jordan, as potentially the biggest challenge for you as you make that transition into the pro game? Is there anything you're working on specifically for the next level?
Same thing. Analytics, studying, because I know the jump is basically like nowadays QBs just throwing no look passes and stuff like that. So it's like you have to, I say, know what's going on, but just study as much as you can. You got it, because the athleticism is already there, and the speed and strength and all that. But if you don't have this, you're not going to go that far.
So critical to success. I know that will be music to Niner faithfuls' ears as they hear you talking about studying that film. Is there a player in the NFL, past or present, who inspires the way in which you play the game?
Cam Chancellor.
Ooh, Cam Chancellor. I like that. What is it about his game?
I love his energy, that he brings to the game. I love that he's physical and love to hit. And just, I just like his energy,
Yeah.
And he's a big safety, so that's a plus.
Yes, it is. We have Cam Chancellor burned into our memory. I mean, there's some violent hits that took place between Seattle and San Francisco, no doubt. The one against Vernon Davis, I'm sure, comes to mind for many 49ers fans. So I think that's a powerful comparison that will excite those that are listening. What would you say is your greatest strength as a safety? Is it that speed? Is it that physicality? Is it a combination of the two?
I would say that, but to be honest, I would say my instincts, my instincts growing up in Philadelphia, it helped groom it, because you got to have instincts in the urban city area. And
right,
that's something that I know a lot of people don't have. And I noticed that, and mine is just like off the charts, so I God bless me with that, with having that. And I think,
hey, I'm telling you, if you have those instincts to where the first step is in the right direction, you're focused on the angles, and you have the speed, that is going to help in the transition to the NFL. How familiar are you with either, speaking 49ers specifically, with either DeMeco Ryans or the 49ers defensive scheme?
Man, I love y'all scheme. I ain't gonna lie. I'm pretty familiar with DeMeco Ryan, and I like him. I like him.
Yeah.
First, he was born in July. I was born in July.
All right, little commonality.
But y'all, and I like the Broncos defensive coordinator. Also Ravens, but the 49ers, y'all, I like how y'all run zone, and that scheme, I feel like you can make a lot of splash plays in that zone, So being a big safety and having good instincts is just like, oh man, I love to play.
Especially with that pass rush coming in, causing some errant throws. You could be put in a position to make some plays. How would you envision fitting on the 49ers roster? Let's say we get into this week, you hear your name called. It is the 49ers on the clock at the time. How would you see yourself fitting within that roster?
I think I fit perfectly. I think it would go, I fit right in, whether it's linebacker, safety, kick, any position, I feel like kickoff, kick return, y'all just a physical team, and that's what I love to be, I would love to be a part of that.
That's exciting to hear. I definitely view our defense as a physical one. I love to see smash mouth football out there. I'm an old school football fan like that. You mentioned special teams. Do you see that? Do you see special teams as a potential path towards a roster spot? And would that excite you to get on a roster in that way?
Heck yeah. I have no man, y'all put me on special teams. I promise you would know my name in the game one. I would love special teams. Some people be scared to play special teams, but it's just like you just running down, or I don't know. I just love it. My size, speed. I feel like I could fit in on special teams.
Nice. Terrence Brown coming in to say he can see why they call you Hitman after watching your highlights. Yes, sir. Got that violent streak in the way in which you play. What would it be like to play alongside an elite veteran safety like Jimmy Ward? Would that type of confidence and knowledge next to you help you at the next level?
Jimmy Ward is a hell of a player. I gotta put that out there. He's a hell of a player. I love his emotion. Oh man, yeah, I like his emotion. Like I remember it was one play, he was just on the ground and somebody would just smacking him in his face, you know. But he physical, he a ball hawk, and I feel like we would gel perfectly together, you know. And
Yes.
yeah, that's about it.
I absolutely love it. At the beginning, someone in the chat said that your personality reminded them a little bit of Jimmy Ward, and I get a little bit of that vibe as well in the way in which you come across. That would be an exciting pairing for me. All right, here, we're at this point in the interview where I want to shift gears a little bit and take it more from the football side of things, a bit more to the personal side in these last couple of questions. And these are questions that you and I talked about before the show, so this isn't anything catching you by surprise here. But you had mentioned specifically that there was an incident that happened to you in college involving law enforcement. Can you provide some of that backstory for us?
Okay, yeah, it was I was going into my junior year. I was in basically a vehicle. I was in a car with my brother, and the cops. We parked in the handicap spot, which was just bad idea at the time. But cops knocked on the door. I mean, on a window, and basically unknown. I did not know at the time it was a bag of marijuana in the car, and once they searched the car, basically I was guilty by association, and I got a misdemeanor and I had to pay a fine, stuff like that. But other than that, I came back, I got back in school, and I got expelled, but I got back in school within like a month, and I was able to come back to the team. But yeah, that was a unfortunate circumstance for me at the time, and I seen, how it affected. Like it was life changing. I seen how it affected my brother, and he had my back 100% throughout the situation, and it changed his life completely. Like he did a completely 360 after that circumstance. He ended up like now he got freaking 2 businesses under his name, a cleaning business and two nonprofits that I actually helped. So I seen it kill him, but I also watched it completely change his life. So it was an unfortunate circumstances, but it's something that I honestly wouldn't take back because I seen it help my brother and my family, and I feel like it's all part of God's plan, But yeah, that was the circumstance, and yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. Just in full transparency, I had sort of a tumultuous college experience myself when I was a freshman at college at University of the Pacific out in Stockton, California. I had a pretty similar set of circumstances. It ended up with even worse charges from the situation. Very similar reason why, which is ironic that those things in many states are now legal, but at the time they were not. And it helped shape who I became, and it helped propel me to the person that I am, but it didn't define me. And I would imagine that many teams, many scouts wanted to define you by that that moment. When you speak to teams, is that something that comes up, and is that something that concerns them?
To be honest, yes. They always ask me, the first question is about my character and who I am as a person and stuff like that. And I understand it,
Right.
I understand, but it definitely, like, I never been suspended throughout my life in school, until that moment. You know, it was just an unfortunate circumstance, and for the if it's kids watching right now, just please be aware of you're aware of your surroundings. Like,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, just the sense that I get from you, this feels like something you'll be able to look back on throughout your life as just something that happened and became a learning experience, became something that you grew from. That's certainly the way in which it comes across as you speak about it. In transitioning again, you also shared with me something offline that I wanted to address directly in what I do hope comes across as a very respectful manner. But you lost your parents recently. If you would, please let us know whatever you're comfortable sharing about that loss. My hope is that those people that are currently watching and those that see this video can draw some strength from what you share, and perhaps someone out there is going through something where your experience may help them.
Gotcha. It was December 18th. I lost my mother. She was 44. It was the day actually right before I graduated.
Mm.
The day right before I graduated on the 19th. So it was definitely a hard phone call to have, and during that time, but my family, we came, they told me, like, cause I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to walk across that stage. It was hard. It was hard, but my brothers, sisters came together and basically uplift me to get on that stage, and I can't thank them more, but did that. And then actually, wow, as soon as I got off the stage, I got a phone call that my dad had a stroke right afterwards. So basically, we drove down. He was living in Alabama at the time. We drove down to Alabama, and he was brain dead, and he ended up dying on Tuesday, the following Tuesday. I think it was like 5 days apart, something like that. But yeah, so I would just say it was unfortunate, once again, circumstances. I'm not gonna go that much into my mother, but the way she died was actually just terrible. Like, if the people that's watching, if y'all got family members and rehab centers and stuff like that, make sure y'all check on them, please, and make sure they fine. But for people that's out there that's going through something that I'm going through, lean on your family, your siblings, come together, and basically that's how I'm getting through it right now. We all leaning on one another, and we pushing each other to be the best person that we can be, because we know that's what my mother and my pop would want from us. So that's what we all made a bond to do that, and that's what we're doing right now. So,
Jordan, I really appreciate you sharing that story. I can't even imagine what it was like going through that. But I know that there are people out there hearing this that it means something. I mean, just right now, Freddie Mac Dre came in to put this. My mom had a stroke 2 weeks ago. I'm going through it. It's remarkable to watch someone walk through something like that is so tragic. My condolences for your loss. I'm so sorry to hear of that. What was it that gave you the greatest comfort and strength as you went through that journey? What was it, the time with your family, with your siblings, that allowed you to process it in the healthiest manner?
It's funny because it was the field. Like, I'm not saying it's nothing against, my family.
No.
Love them to death, and I wouldn't be able to do nothing without them, but it was definitely the football field and working out. My high school coach, he kept me in the gym, the weight room, and I can't thank him enough for that. And the field, just putting on headphones and going out there and work on your craft, and just, it helps me release and help. It's kind of like meditation.
It very much is that sort of physical focus that's required. I am not a football player. You can tell by my slight build. I'm more of a person that does cycling or things like that. But when you are in the groove and you're focused, it does channel the energy in a positive way. And it's amazing the rejuvenative effects that you get from that. I appreciate you sharing what that journey looked like for you. And I can tell that it comes across in such a genuine way. Everyone seemed to be responding in the chat. Randall Riley coming in. Jordan's a dude you pull for, someone you can relate to on a personal level. Great interview. Thanks for the openness. It's not easy, I'm sure. You had a lot of people talking about their condolences for you, sharing experiences that they had. Truth told, not sold. Firsthand experience. Just buried my cousin last week, and my 94-year-old Grams is on her last. She had a stroke. My family is going through a lot right now. I think it's important to talk about loss. It's a difficult subject to broach, but honestly, when I hear and watch you talk about it, I find what you say to be very compelling and very inspirational. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to share that today on the program.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Rob, for having me on the show.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. And I saw Charles Thurman came in here on the lighter note. Hopefully bring back Ronnie Lott type of football. People want to see that in a 49er uniform. And I'll tell you what, I will be dying to hear your name during the draft at any point. And I really hope that it's the 49ers that do call your name, because I will be pulling for you after this interview. I appreciate you sharing everything that you did. I greatly appreciate your time and coming on today. I wish you the best of luck this week, and I will absolutely be hoping that you end up in the red and gold. Thank you so much for coming on, Jordan.
No problem. Thank you. Once again, I'm eternally grateful for having you and speaking and meeting with you, Rob. And thank you for everybody else watching. Appreciate y'all also. Fingers crossed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, excellent interview. I will be back on tomorrow as usual. The folks watching know the drill. At the end, I always do a little cheers to the camera, to the faithful. Jordan, again, thank you so much for coming on. It was just such a pleasure speaking with you today, sir.
And wherever I go, I got you a signed jersey.
All right, Jordan, my man. And hey, we'll have you back on the program for sure. I just, again, this was a great pleasure for me, an honor, I would say.
Same here, Rob.
All right. All right. You guys know the drill. Until next time, cheers, Niner faithful.